All right, here we go. My name is Austin. I am the CEO of a company called Fly Bodies, and this is the Bodies in Business podcast. And today's episode, we're going to talk about saunas and Duolingo. All right. So each day, we're going to have a couple different topics, one about the body, one about business. And I know people are pretty interested in both of those. So I know I am. So I'm going to jump into saunas first. Okay. I had a question from a friend of mine about saunas. Are they good for you either before a workout or after a workout? Are they just good in general? So I deep dive this question. And the first thing I'll say is, yes, they are good for you. And a good protocol to follow is one that has been researched a lot by the Finnish people, Finland, up in the Finland area. This is the protocol. So for a sauna to be very effective, 70 degrees Fahrenheit has to be the temperature. Duration is around 20 minutes. So if you're shooting for 20 minutes, when you hit that 20-minute mark, I've done it. It's pretty brutal, but it's great. So 170 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 minutes in the sauna, and then they say 4 to 7 times per week showed the most robust benefits. So that's good to know. So 170, 20 minutes, 4 to 7 times a week. If you do that, you'll see some great effects on your brain and body. They also saw positive effects 2 to 3 times a week. All right. And a woman named Rhonda has done a lot of studying on saunas because she's has a PhD at this point, I believe. And it was some of her research to see if saunas were really, really good for our health. And it seems to be the case. What I'll say is everyone is in a sauna and cold tub craze right now. And it's something where everybody always, especially Americans, we go to we take everything to 1,000,000%, right? Like everyone is wanting to get a sauna at their house or get a portable sauna or something like that. There's this guy named Jesse Itzler who's pretty cool. He's married to the woman who invented Spanx. And, I just throwing out these little bits of knowledge. Hopefully it makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about. But Jesse Itzler, I followed him on his Instagram. He took a group of people to Finland and did 10 days of saunas, I believe, of just constant saunas and cold tubs. And I'm telling you, it looked pretty interesting. If you ever go to Finland, Finland is actually, another fun fact, is like one of the happiest places in the world, according to a certain happiness scale. And they think that probably has something to do with the saunas because you get a lot of endorphins and dynorphins, and a lot of fun things happen when you take a sauna. I haven't been, let me see. Oh, nice. We're at 3 minutes. All right, we're good. Anyways, so saunas in general are good for you, okay, if you want to do them. Now, the question my friend had was, what about before or after a workout? Well, this is when I started listening to a video by Mike Israetel. Mike Israetel said that saunas are in we don't know for sure, okay? We know that cold tubbing after a workout can blunt muscle growth. And like right after. That doesn't mean like, days after, it is not helpful, but cold tubbing right after a workout can, blunt muscle growth. Now, saunas, the guy he was talking to said there hasn't been enough research done on the sauna topic after a workout to show that it is going to enhance muscle growth or build more muscle or strengthen yourself. Now, what they did say in the video is it does accumulate, or it does produce more heat shock proteins. And so when you are lifting, you're actually producing heat shock proteins. You can actually feel your muscles getting warmer. So the correlation there, they say, that kind of sounds like it wouldn't hurt if you were getting more heat shock proteins to your muscles. So it could be helpful. So the jury's still out on that, but I wanted to kind of answer that question because a buddy of mine was saying like, I wonder if I go in the sauna, if it's helping or hurting, because he did hear that cold tubbing after a workout blunted the effects of building muscle. So if you like the sauna, utilize it. I would say don't just rely on the sauna if you are thinking, oh, like I'm just going to do the sauna and nothing else, not exercise. I would say supplement the sauna with your exercise if you can. If you're unable to exercise because you have some ailments or something like that, and the only thing you can do is sauna, great, because it's good for the heart, good for the brain, and it gets the heart rate up to around 120. And they say that's pretty much like aerobic exercise. And that's why the sauna is beneficial, is because it gets your heart rate pumping blood throughout the body and the brain, and does the heat shock proteins, does all these things, and is super beneficial for the body in general. So that's saunas. I'm going to move on to Duolingo. Duolingo is a $1 billion company, all right, at this point in time. They started, I think, in 2012, yeah, around there, maybe earlier. Gosh, I gotta get my numbers right. But anyways, the reason why I'm talking about Duolingo is because they were, the CEO, Louis von Ahn, was on the Acquired podcast. And I listened to that one. It's about an hour long. I recommend going to listen to the whole thing. But I even just started out, this is the second time I listened to it. The first question that really caught my attention when the Acquired people asked was, why has Duolingo worked so much in an extreme scale? Like it's got over, 80 million subscribers and then 8 million active users daily that have over a 365-day streak. And so, how is Duolingo doing things different? And what it came down to, from what Louis said, he's the CEO, said, it comes down to motivation, right? People are going to learn when they feel excited to learn and motivated to learn. And so they've really focused on how do we motivate people to want to come back to the app. And the couple of things they've done to really enhance that motivation is they built a streak feature. Okay, the streak feature, he said, was super important because it shows people their progress. And when you come back to an app, 20, 30, 40, 50 times in a row, you really see that benefit of doing something consistently. And so they focused on the streak feature, really telling people how well they were doing. Also, something else is adding like a progress bar or even explosions in the app to show like excitement and praise. Another thing that they really harped on was notifications. And notifications are very, very important because everybody has an iPhone or an Android usually. And getting a notification to bring you back to the app is super helpful because we're always going 90 miles an hour. I know I am. And they say they err on the side of over notifying people rather than under notifying people, because when you're learning something, people tend to want to get notified more than if you weren't. And I thought that was interesting because when we were first building FlyFit, I was very hesitant to want to bother the user. I wanted people to want to come back to the app. But the reality is when someone just starts using a new app, they're not going to just come back to the app because they're like, oh my God, this is the best thing. Maybe, shout out Robinhood because you have money in it. Maybe you'd want to come back to the app just to see if your money's going up and down, which great app. But for something like a mileage challenge or just health and wellness, it's hard to agree. I didn't want to annoy the user because I felt like I had an experience with MyFitnessPal one time where it kept asking me to log my food. And eventually I was like, I'm not going to log my food. I'm turning off this notification. So I didn't want to get there. But they have really put their hooks in leaderboards, streaks, friends, and quests with friends and stuff like that, to try to bring people back to the app and really gamifying the Duolingo experience. I've used Duolingo maybe once or twice. I need to use it more just to understand it and see how well it works. But we're trying to implement these types of things into FlyFit because we know we want people to stay motivated. We want people to see their progress. So actually, there's a really good podcast, the Lenny's podcast, who talks to the guy who's actually in charge of the streaks feature for Duolingo, and he gave a lot of good insights into what drives their streak feature to be so good. So that's it so far. I didn't talk about saunas. I'll end on that, where I've used saunas in the past, and to be honest, I probably was overusing them. I started getting some migraines, so that's a personal experience. I think if I do them every now and then, I probably wouldn't have that same effect, but I tend to, for myself, I go extreme with certain things. So I think I'm going to try to get back in sauna. I enjoy it after a workout to really get a good stretch. Even on my off days, I like to get a good sweat somehow without doing too much. And the sauna would be a good thing for that, I think. So that's it. We just hit the 10-minute mark, guys. I'm trying to keep these short and sweet. Highly recommend going to watch the videos that are in the show notes. Rhonda, Patrick, Mike Israetel, and then Acquired Podcast. They're all really good. And, you can put them on when you're on a walk, when you're doing a workout, when you're in the car. Learning these things are super beneficial for the body and for your business or a business you're working in, because you can take these ideas and put them to use. So that's all I got. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that, and can't wait for the next one. Get after it.